So you're thinking about moving to Las Vegas, Nevada? But you're curious to know how President Trump's policies are affecting the Las Vegas housing market. Are there initiatives to help with home affordability, reducing mortgage rates, and acquiring federal land for future development? Well, you're about to find out. That's because we're going to discuss 6 initiatives the Trump administration has already or is in the process of implementing that will affect the housing market here in Las Vegas, one way or another. And towards the end of this video, I will share with you one of the most talked about policies of them all. Can you guess which one it is? Well, I'll give you a little hint. It starts with a T. Well, let's get after it right now. Hi, my name is Mark Pepe, and I absolutely love helping people discover all things Las Vegas, including Las Vegas real estate. If this is the type of content that resonates with you, make sure you subscribe here below and you tap the bell for notifications so you can be the first to learn about the current market here in Las Vegas, with so much evolving almost daily. We are passionate about removing the stress of relocating to a completely new city and state. So if you're thinking about making that move, whether it be 9 days or 9 months, feel free to give us a call, text, or email. All that information is in the description below. You know, Donald Trump's presidency has introduced a series of policies that are significantly influencing the Las Vegas housing market. These policies are aimed to stimulate economic growth, reduce regulatory burdens, and enhance housing affordability. However, the practical outcomes of these initiatives present a complex picture with both potential benefits and challenges for the Las Vegas housing sector. So let's jump right into what these new policies consist of. Starting with number 1, which is leveraging federal land for housing development. President Trump's plan to develop affordable housing of millions of unused acres of federal land across the United States could have a huge impact right here in not only Nevada, but more specifically Las Vegas, where local home builders, residents, and lawmakers on both sides of the political spectrum have long been calling for a similar solution to solve the state's deepening crisis. Approximately 80% of Nevada's land is federally owned, which is the highest of any state in the country. The Freedom Cities Initiative aims to create new urban areas on federal land to alleviate housing shortages and reduce costs. Here in the Las Vegas Valley, this could potentially add up to 200,000 more homes, new homes I should say, mainly in the southwest and northwest part of the valley. Now, while this proposal could significantly increase housing supply, it does face some challenges. Environmental concerns, infrastructure requirements, and the need for local cooperation are significant hurdles. Additionally, critics argue that such developments could prioritize developers over affordable housing needs, which potentially could lead to urban expansion without addressing the core issue of affordability. Nevertheless, the success of such large-scale projects depends on comprehensive planning, substantial investment, and collaboration between federal, state, and local authorities. Addressing environmental concerns and ensuring sustainable development are also critical factors. Number 2 is mortgage rates and homebuyer affordability. Is that a hot button right now or what? You know, President Trump's economic policies, including tax cuts and deregulation, have mixed effects on mortgage rates and homebuyer affordability here in Las Vegas. While tax cuts may increase disposable income for some, they can also lead to higher federal deficits, potentially driving up interest rates, which we definitely don't need more of that happening. You know, higher mortgage rates have made home loans more expensive, reducing affordability for buyers, which we have all experienced in recent years. The president has also been very vocal in urging the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates, whose policies have influence on treasury yields and consequently on mortgage rates, which underscores the importance of staying informed about economic indicators and market trends. These factors will continue to shape the housing market in Las Vegas and beyond. In fact, President Trump just met with Chairman Powell just recently to really urge them to lower the federal interest rate. So we'll see what that meeting may produce here in the coming weeks and months. The administration has also proposed reforms to the mortgage market, including loosening lending standards and reducing federal oversight. These measures aim to increase access to home financing, particularly for those who are first-time home buyers. With housing demand high here in Las Vegas, such reforms could facilitate homeownership for a broader segment of the population. By making mortgage rates more accessible, the policy seeks, or I should say by making mortgages more accessible, the policy seeks to stimulate the housing market and support economic growth. However, the relaxation of lending standards must be balanced against the risk of financial instability. Ensuring that borrowers have the capacity to repay loans is essential to prevent defaults and maintain market health to ensure repeats of 2008 never happen again. Number 3 is tax incentives. Now, Trump's administration has introduced tax policies designed to stimulate investment in the housing market. The Tax Cuts and Jobs Act of 2017, for example, provided tax relief to individuals and businesses, potentially increasing disposable income and encouraging home purchases. Additionally, the administration's support for the Opportunity Zones program offers tax incentives for investments in designated economically distressed areas. Here in Las Vegas, this could attract capital to underdeveloped neighborhoods, promoting revitalization and increasing housing availability. While these initiatives aim to boost economic activity and housing developments in Las Vegas, their success depends on investor response and the effective targeting of areas most in need of investment. Long-term impact on housing affordability really remains to be seen. Number 4 is immigration policies, specifically balancing labor supply and housing demand. The administration's immigration policies are intended to reduce competition for housing and lower prices. This approach aims to prioritize housing availability for citizens and legal residents. Advocates for legal immigration reforms ensure a reliable workforce while maintaining national security and economic interests. With the construction industry relying heavily on immigrant labor, labor shortages as a result of these policies is a real possibility. Here in Las Vegas, a city experiencing significant construction activity, a reduced labor force could slow down housing projects and increase costs. So while the intention is to make housing more accessible, the potential disruption to the construction labor market could counteract these goals by limiting housing supply and driving up prices. Number 5 is deregulation and zoning reforms, which is stimulating or should stimulate housing supply. A cornerstone of Trump's housing policy is the reduction of regulatory constraints to encourage housing development. By advocating for streamlined zoning laws and building permits, the administration seeks to lower construction costs and expedite the building process. This approach is particularly pertinent here in Las Vegas, where rapid population growth has intensified housing demand. The administration's focus on deregulation is evident in its efforts to simplify federal processes for land development that I mentioned about earlier. By making federal lands available for development, the policy intends to increase housing inventory and stabilize prices. And that brings us to number 6, and quite possibly the most talked about policy of them all, which is tariffs and their effect on construction costs. One of the most immediate effects of President Trump's policies on the Las Vegas housing market has been the burden of tariffs on construction materials. Tariffs on Canadian lumber, steel, and aluminum have led to increased costs for builders. For instance, the 25% tariff on steel and 10% on aluminum imports have raised material prices, thereby increasing the overall cost of home construction. Experts estimate that these tariffs could add an additional $5,000 to up to $20,000 to the price of new homes here in Las Vegas, depending on the size and materials used. These increased costs have a ripple effect, potentially slowing down new construction projects and exacerbating the existing housing shortage here in the Valley. Higher construction costs can also lead to higher home prices, making it more difficult for first-time homebuyers to enter the market and for renters to find affordable options. While supporting domestic production, the unintended consequence of higher housing costs requires a careful evaluation of trade policies in the context of housing affordability. Well, this gives you a good overview of President Trump's impact on the Las Vegas housing market. These initiatives have the potential to increase housing supply, attract investment, and expand homeownership opportunities. As Las Vegas continues to evolve, effectiveness of these policies will depend on their implementation, the responsiveness of the market, and the ability of stakeholders to adapt to changing conditions. Ongoing assessment and adjustments may be necessary to ensure that the goals of economic growth and housing affordability are achieved in a balanced and sustainable manner. As we look ahead, the interaction between the national policies and local market conditions will continue to shape the future of real estate right here in Las Vegas. Staying informed and adaptable will be key to thriving in this dynamic environment. And this channel will definitely help you stay informed. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative. So please like and share it. Please also subscribe below and comment if you have any questions or found this video helpful. Also, don't forget to check out our other videos on moving to Las Vegas and the surrounding areas so you can continue to get a realistic sense of what it would feel like to live right here in the Las Vegas Valley. So, whether you're planning on moving in 9 days or 9 months, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or even schedule a Zoom appointment here in the description below. We can't wait to help you make a smooth and a stress-free move to Las Vegas. So, until next time, we hope to show you around town very, very soon.